started out because I had a child, and my sister, who at the time was a librarian, she was finishing up a job, and I was thinking of going back to work, and we thought, well, we would try to put together a children's bookstore. And at the time, there were 6 other children's bookstores in Toronto, but everywhere, not here on Mount Pleasant. And we loved Mount Pleasant because it's a street with a lot of character, a lot of independent stores and restaurants, and basically, especially at the time, there were no chains at all. So it was a really great street. Well, it was for rent. And that's what it looked like before. It was just brown, and it was an electronics repair shop with scary carpeting inside. And but we kept the nice wood paneling in the front room, which makes it quite warm inside. Yeah, it was just available, and I've always loved a corner. I think a corner is a good location, although not so good when you have to shovel snow. Well, we are a specialty children's bookstore, and in fact what is different about us is we arrange our books by age. And my sister, who was the librarian, who believed that everything should go alphabetically, and I was the retailer, I won because I was the mother of a small child, and I thought, well, I said to her, we don't have a whole lot of time here. So the one thing we all know is we know the age of the child, and if you can have that as a starting point. So in fact, we have a baby department, an age 1, an age 2, an age 3, an age 4, and we're really known for that. Because reading is something you acquire, not just interests, but a lot of the skills. You build them like exercising. Yeah. And well, we're lucky we have sales reps from all the publishing companies, and we have big, long meetings, and they show us a lot of pretty much they'll show us everything that's being published, and we go through them. And because we're small, there's an advantage to that, that we don't have room for anything that's mediocre. It comes from children love to play with language, and the first thing they like to do is play with rhymes. So some of the simplest rhymes are Humpty Dumpty, all those first nursery rhymes have simple names like that. And I also knew early on that we wanted to have an old-fashioned bookstore cat. And it obviously, we had to have a name that would be the cat, and it had to rhyme with something that had a word that had to do with books. So hence Mabel's Fables. We've had 3 Mabels. Mabel the first, second, and third. We're on the third, and they've all been rescues. This Mabel is from Toronto Cat Rescue. I highly recommend them because they are older cats that need a new job, and you get a real profile of their personality. And so we needed to have a cat that was, you have to be friendly. You're in retail, right? I guess, in the Harry Potter days, we were lucky to be at the very beginning of the releases. So the second and third and fourth and maybe the 5th releases, we had parties up here, midnight parties. So in the dark, and we would have candles. We would have a reading at midnight because of course the release it would be on a particular day that we would have to sign an affidavit, that sort of thing. And so a lot of the kids there would be a lineup with parents all the way up to what was the grocery store past Sudan. And this, the last one, the ice cream store, the gelateria across the street had just opened. for the last release, and I guess we should have told them, but I never thought. But they ran completely out of everything that night. I think I'm so thankful that we're still around, but that has to do with the support we've had. People are very protective after generations of people your age coming along and coming in and saying, I used to come here when I was little. Now I have grandparents and great-grandparents come in and say, you know, this was a really special part of our children's, you know, upbringing. And I have guys like you coming in and saying, I used to come here when I was little, and my friend just had a baby, what should I do? We already had it.
Oh.
We already had it, and in fact, a lot of people use it, I think, to research, right? But then when COVID hit, our online orders just went crazy. And it was certainly hard to get things too, you know. So we've all had to do a lot of transitioning. One of the great things that happened, though, if you don't mind talking about it, is we decided to, we had already had started our subscription program, which is like a book of the month club, and it also went up because the grandparents couldn't see the grandchildren, the parents were at home and needed new material, and kids weren't in school and they needed books to read. So we were really lucky that we're still here.